High-altitude winds scream at hurricane force, tearing across a barren, frozen expanse where the air is so thin it starves the human brain. This is a place where survival is the exception, not the rule. Yet thousands of dreamers are drawn to this unforgiving void every single year. What compels a person to leave the safety of the world below, risking life and limb to stand on a piece of rock the size of a dining table? Mount Everest pierces the stratosphere at 29,032 feet, casting a shadow that stretches across nations. Straddling the border of Nepal and China, it is the undisputed roof of the world, a geological titan that has captivated the human imagination for over a century. Local traditions explain the peak as a sacred entity, commanding absolute reverence from anyone who dares approach its icy flanks. The obsession with conquering this monolith is etched deeply into the history of modern exploration. Early 20th century pioneers, clad in tweed and gabardine, marched into the unknown with primitive gear, driven by a raw, unyielding human ambition. When asked why he wanted to climb it, British mountaineer George Mallory famously replied, "Because it's there," a three-word manifesto that continues to echo through the climbing community today. Today, that exact same drive possesses a new generation of adventurers, transforming elite alpine pursuit into a global phenomenon. It is no longer just seasoned mountaineers who seek the summit, but everyday people who remortgage homes and dedicate years of their lives to this singular, monumental goal. The desire to push past the absolute limits of physical and mental endurance reveals a profound truth about our need to conquer the impossible. Transforming that dream into reality requires staggering logistical and financial commitment. Climbers invest tens of thousands of dollars into commercial expeditions, which are fully guided and outfitted climbing packages where operators manage the complex logistics of permits, oxygen supplies, and route fixing. Years of rigorous cardiovascular training and technical climbing practice are merely the baseline requirements to even step foot in the Himalayas. The journey truly begins upon arrival at Everest Base Camp, a sprawling, temporary city of yellow tents pitched on a moving glacier. Here, climbers must undergo acclimatization, a grueling, weeks-long process of ascending and descending to progressively higher altitudes, forcing the body to adapt to the severely depleted oxygen levels. It is a game of patience and suffering, where simple tasks like tying a bootlace leave you gasping for breath. None of this monumental effort would be possible without the Sherpa guides. The term Sherpa does not mean porter. It refers to a distinct ethnic group native to the most mountainous regions of Nepal, globally renowned for their elite mountaineering skills and genetic adaptation to high altitudes. Expert guides advise that trusting and respecting your Sherpa team is the single most critical factor in surviving the expedition. The first true test of courage is the infamous Khumbu Icefall, a terrifying, shifting labyrinth of towering ice seracs and bottomless crevasses. Climbers navigate this frozen chaos under the cover of darkness, crossing deep chasms on aluminum ladders lashed together with thin ropes. Every step is a calculated gamble against gravity, with the constant threat of avalanches thundering down from the hanging glaciers above. Surviving the icefall grants entry into the Western Khum, often called the Valley of Silence. This massive, glacial valley is a stark contrast to the chaos below, a blindingly white basin enclosed by the sheer, towering walls of Everest, Lhotse, and Nuptse. The intense solar radiation trapped in this bowl can push temperatures to sweltering extremes, creating a bizarre and exhausting microclimate high in the Himalayas. As the expedition pushes higher, establishing Camp 3 on the sheer ice of the Lhotse face, the margin for error evaporates entirely. The ultimate crucible awaits above 26,000 feet, a terrifying threshold universally known as the death zone, where the atmospheric pressure is so low that oxygen is insufficient to sustain human life. In this realm, the human body literally begins to consume itself, dying cell by cell with every passing minute. The brutal realities of the death zone strip away all romantic notions of adventure. Even with supplemental bottled oxygen, climbers experience profound muscle degradation, extreme frostbite risk, and the constant threat of high-altitude cerebral edema, a fatal swelling of the brain. The extreme risks of this environment demand absolute focus because a single misstep or a dropped glove can escalate into a lethal crisis within seconds. The psychological battle waged at this altitude is often more grueling than the physical climb. Extreme hypoxia induces vivid hallucinations, profound apathy, and an overwhelming desire to simply sit down and sleep in the snow. Pushing forward requires an almost superhuman level of mental fortitude, forcing climbers to dig into reserves of willpower they never knew existed. Compounding the internal struggle are the external threats that can materialize without warning. Sudden, violent storms can drop visibility to zero and plummet temperatures to deadly extremes in a matter of minutes. In recent years, the sheer volume of climbers has created notorious traffic jams near the summit, forcing exhausted individuals to wait for hours in the freezing cold, rapidly depleting their precious oxygen supplies. The mountain serves as a stark, unforgiving graveyard for those who could not escape its grasp. Over 300 people have perished on these slopes, and due to the impossible logistics of recovery, many of their frozen bodies remain exactly where they fell. These haunting landmarks serve as chilling reminders of the thin line between courage and folly, demanding profound respect from everyone who passes by. Amidst this landscape of triumph and tragedy, the Sherpa people maintain a deeply spiritual connection to the earth. To them, the mountain is Chomolungma, the goddess mother of the world, and climbing it is not a conquest, but a pilgrimage that requires permission from the divine. Elaborate ceremonies are held at base camp to appease the mountain deities, seeking safe passage and forgiveness for driving crampons into her sacred flanks. This spiritual reverence stands in stark contrast to the modern realities of the climbing industry, sparking intense ethical debates. Travelers and aspiring mountaineers must critically examine the burden placed on local workers who take on the highest level of risk by repeatedly navigating the most dangerous sections of the route to establish camps and fix ropes. Responsible exploring demands a shift toward equitable treatment and sustainable practices. The environmental impact of this human obsession is another dark shadow cast over the Himalayas. Decades of expeditions have left tons of discarded oxygen bottles, shredded tents, and human waste scattered across the pristine landscape. Furthermore, the undeniable effects of climate change are rapidly melting the Khumbu Glacier, destabilizing the climbing routes and threatening the water supply for millions of people downstream. Despite the moral complexities and lethal dangers, the final push to the summit remains one of the most dramatic human endeavors on Earth. Climbers wake in the dead of night at Camp 4, strapping on oxygen masks and stepping out into the howling wind. A line of headlamps snakes slowly up the final ridge, a procession of frozen dreamers inching their way toward the roof of the world. Stepping onto the summit is a moment of unparalleled, overwhelming emotion. Standing on that tiny ridge of snow, with the curvature of the earth visible on the horizon and nothing but sky above, the sheer magnitude of the achievement washes over you. It is a fleeting, breathless victory, a momentary triumph of human ambition over the most formidable forces of nature. Yet, the summit is only the halfway point, and the descent is statistically the most dangerous phase of the entire expedition. Adrenaline fades, replaced by a bone-deep exhaustion that makes every step perilous. Climbers must navigate steep, icy drop-offs while fighting off the overwhelming urge to collapse, knowing that survival depends entirely on maintaining focus until they reach the safety of the lower camps. Returning to the vibrant chaos of base camp marks a profound transition from the edge of the void back to the realm of the living. The physical transformation is stark, with climbers returning gaunt, battered, and forever changed by what they have endured. The shared trauma and triumph forge unbreakable bonds among teammates, creating a brotherhood born in the thin air of the Himalayas. As the expedition leaves the Khumbu Valley, the echoes of those mountain trails follow them home. The enduring wisdom of the local guides and the simple, rugged beauty of the high-altitude villages leave a lasting imprint on the soul. The journey redefines the traveler's understanding of resilience, community, and the profound power of nature. Mount Everest will always stand as the ultimate mirror for human ambition, reflecting our deepest desires, our greatest flaws, and our boundless capacity for endurance. It is a place where the extreme risks are matched only by the transformative power of the journey itself. Whether viewed from a distant valley or conquered from its highest peak, the goddess mother of the world continues to inspire the unquenchable thirst for discovery that lives within us all.